Chestnut.
Hi, everybody. This is Buster Chestnut, and you are here with us on episode 7 of Bad Breaks with Buster Chestnut. Once again, I had a production fail. Hey, these were early episodes, so, I was still trying to figure things out. Production value has went up tremendously since these early recordings. We got the audio figured out. Got a bunch of other stuff, but I'm gonna take today as an opportunity, to maybe get a little on the serious side. Just chat. Maybe I'll comment on the video, maybe I won't. I don't know. Oh, this was the show that my sister came out to. I believe it was Fat Tuesday, if my outfit shows correctly. But anyway, so the big thing I wanted to talk about is kind of like success, goals. So I want to start it off with, a quote by Steve Jobs that just, it hits home. He stated this at a graduation, I want to say at Stanford, before he passed away. But his quote is, have you looked in the mirror, scratch that. I want to say it correctly. I have to quote people in their words because, as I'll get to later, words matter. So I have looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I'm about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. And that's what brought me to, this production. I got tired of saying no for 25 years in the soul-crushing, toxic career that is information technology. And that experience, and being out of that situation, further drove it into my brain that you need to take risks, but calculate them, study them, understand them, and your own limitations. And by that, I mean, know what you can do and know where your shortcomings fall, because to fully understand yourself, you have to understand what you can add that provides value. And speaking of value, how does one measure success? I mean, do you measure success based on, one big thing at the end? Through all the, trauma and, experiences that I've had in my life, celebrate the small victories. Small victories go a long way. And the small victories tend to be a better measure of success. So, a little bit about me that I do share in some of my comedy is that, I used to play football. And, that affected my brain in a lot of ways. One being probably a few too many head injuries that, I'm probably eventually going to get a posthumous diagnosis of, CTE, which is a very serious thing. But I try to bring it up in comedy just for awareness, just so that, people understand that it's not just, oh, I forgot my keys. There's a lot of wiring in there. that, developed while playing too. Some good things, actually. I used to play quarterback and inside linebacker. I mean, I've played all kinds of positions, but those were my two primary positions that I identify with. And if you know anything about football, those two positions are the leaders. They are the ones who have to see everything. They have to see the entire field. Because of course, now the audio. All right, I muted that audio just in case we get a blip back in. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I tend to see the whole field, and that has overlapped into, my adult life. When I worked for a specific company, I'm not naming names, but I worked for a company for about 15 years, and it was a global company. And what my position was there, oversaw an application that it was widely used. And all of the teams that supported that application just felt like they lived in their own separate boxes and worlds. They never could see the big picture and see how what their development was doing would affect a large number of other people. And it almost seemed like they didn't care. So, that got frustrating. So I don't know. That led to a lot of no's. And I ended up leaving that job. I worked at another, Fortune 500 company. I don't know. I can't do it anymore. And that's kind of why, I want to perform. I've had this engineering background, this very technical support role over the years. But, I'm creative. I am. Most of my creativity comes from my writing, which I'm really proud of. Because, I've learned a lot. I've learned that words do matter. But you got to listen to them. You got to listen to them. You got to pay attention. And pay attention to the right people. So one of those people that I've been following a lot, and he's long dead, I believe. But he was a thinking man, a philosopher, a storyteller. He was a guy that, he was well-traveled, well-educated. He just had an interesting perspective. Like, he traveled the world, studied different religions, and, tried to find commonalities between them, which is something I often try to do when, I appreciate the community building that words can make. I feel like that doesn't make any sense when it comes out of my mouth. But I want to write. I want to create. But there's a lot of things that people don't understand about what goes into producing a weekly show, writing new material each week to make sure that the regular audience can stay engaged. And, at this point, I'm a one-man writing team. I am a one-man on-site production team. I am marketing. I am advertising. I'm HR. And I'm also, by proxy, a graphic designer. I don't ever claim that. I use tools that, people don't like. But I've never considered myself an artist. Fun fact, I took an art class once. I think I was a junior or a senior in high school. The teacher was a friend of my uncle's. And I eventually got kicked out of art. So I know I can't draw. I do have an eye, but I can't draw. And things that would, come out of my head, I don't think I could ever replicate on, a canvas or a web page. But getting back, kind of my point is words do matter. And you got to listen to the right ones and listen between what they're actually saying. This man that I mentioned earlier, Alan Watts. If anybody's familiar with Alan Watts, he was a brilliant man. He was a very good writer, and he was very good at communicating what needed to be communicated. But it's a guy that didn't take himself too seriously. He wasn't the greatest man. I don't know how you would define the greatest man. If you know, definitely comment somewhere, wherever you're hearing or seeing this. Let me know. Let me know in the comments. But anyway, one thing that Alan Watts stressed in one of his readings, I believe it was the Myopic View of the World was the writing that it came from. But this is what he had to say. And I'll go into it a little bit deeper here in a few. But an extremely important principle, which is the different points of view you get when you change the level of magnification. That is to say, you can look at something with a microscope and see it in a certain way. You can look at it with the naked eye and see it in a certain way. You can look at it with a telescope and see it in another way. Now, which level of magnification is the correct one? It's all about, perspective and point of view. And we may, be looking for the same goal, but our path and direction towards that goal may be different. Our art, our creativity may be different, but my flyer doesn't make me any less of an artist. And if you think that it does, that if you think that my medium or my canvas makes me any less of an artist, check out the other ways that I make art, because they're a lot better than my flyers. I will admit that. So, just kind of wrapping this up. I think I have a little bit of time left, but I'm not going to keep boring you too much longer. And I got to save my voice because I have 2 open mics tonight and a fresh, brand new Fidgetal Nights show that is going to be awesome. And we're going to have a lot of fun. But yeah, so I'm going to wrap this up with what I'm doing here is a little bit bigger than just comedy. A little bit bigger than just Hilliard. Bigger than Columbus. I want to build a community. I want to grow together. I want to help others. But ultimately, I want to make people smile. Through my life, I've performed. I've performed every day wearing a mask to, mask my inner thoughts. But, every day was a performance. Every day still is a performance. Because honestly, you're not going to get this honest discussion with me. So, but I want to help, I want to grow. I want to help other people. Eventually when I can get there and I can hire, graphic designers, I would love that. If anybody out there, wants to help me, get a hold of me. My name is Buster Chestnut. Other people, when I'm not on stage, my name is Josh Bailey. And I'm the owner and operator of Bailey Digital Media. If you're interested in hopping on, going for this ride, building a community, growing together, having some success, helping out others, mentoring, and ultimately, if you want to make people smile, hit me up. Catch you in the comments. Catch you next week. Hopefully I'll catch you at a show or a live stream. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up because this recording ain't capturing anything new on the video. So I've been talking to you for about 17 minutes now. So let's hit that outro. Check it.
What up, everybody? Let's go! Flipping through the packs, chasing down that 101, yeah. Searching for the grail till the morning sun comes. Buster! Hit that monster pull, an impossible play. Change the whole damn game in a major way. We hit that monster pull, an impossible play. Change the whole damn game in a major way. Whoa!